Ladies and gentlemen, you ever wake up one morning and feel like something's different? I'm not talking about the weather. I'm talking about you. That fire you used to have, it's flickering in. That fear you held on to, it's not gripping you like it used to. That's not coincidence. That's not random. That is God shifting something in your life. See, when God gets ready to elevate a woman, he doesn't send out an announcement. He doesn't blow a trumpet. No, he starts moving in silence. He starts cutting things away. He removes people. He closes doors you didn't think would ever shut. And yeah, it hurts, but he's not punishing you. He's positioning you. You might feel alone. You might feel like the world don't get you right now. That's because God's got you in his workshop. He's stripping off the old, molding you, refining you, preparing you to carry a weight you couldn't carry before, preparing you to step into a light that would have blinded you a year ago. You think that restlessness in your spirit is an accident? No, that's divine agitation. That's heaven shaking the ground beneath your feet saying, "Daughter, get up. I'm not done with you yet." Sometimes God's greatest miracles come wrapped in heartbreak, in silence, in stillness. That delay you hated, that door that slammed in your face, that was his mercy. That was his redirection. That was him saying, "I've got better. You just can't see it yet." You're not going backwards. Don't let your feelings lie to you. You're evolving. And evolution, it requires some breaking. You gotta lose the fake so you can hold the real. You gotta release what's in your hands so you can receive what's in his. And just when you think you're empty, just when you think you got nothing left, that's when he steps in. That's when grace hits different. That's when you realize you weren't built to break. You were built to rise. You were born to shift atmospheres, the calling on your life. It won't leave you alone because it's yours. You don't need the crowd to validate it. You don't need applause. You need obedience. You need courage. And you already got that inside of you. Don't you dare settle. Don't you dare shrink. The shift is happening right now. And the woman you're becoming, she's already proud of you. She's cheering for you because she knows you survived what was meant to destroy you. You trusted God when it didn't make sense. You kept walking when your legs were shaking. So don't stop now, because he's not just shifting your life. He's about to launch it. There comes a moment in a woman's life when the things that once satisfied her no longer do. The late nights, the draining conversations, the toxic circles, suddenly they lose their grip. It's not forced. It's not dramatic. It's quiet, subtle. She begins to feel disconnected from routines that once defined her. The phone stays unanswered. The invites ignored. The desire to please gone. What used to feel like comfort now feels like clutter. This is not a loss. It's a sign, a divine indicator that God is shifting her path. She may not understand it at first. It can feel like isolation, like rejection, like confusion. But what's actually happening is alignment. God is pruning her life, stripping away what no longer serves the calling on her. It's uncomfortable, sure, but it's sacred. The detachment isn't punishment, it's preparation. He's creating space for growth, for clarity, for purpose. Those old habits were only meant to carry her so far. Those relationships had expiration dates. And now he's making room for newness. She might wonder why people are falling away, why she no longer has the same appetite for things that used to excite her. But that's how God works. He removes the noise so she can hear him clearly. He closes doors so she can learn to walk through the right ones with confidence. And in that detachment, something powerful is born. Independence, discernment, peace. This is not about becoming cold or bitter. It's about becoming whole. When God starts separating her from what was, it's because he's calling her to what will be. And she may not know the full picture yet, but deep down she senses it. The shift is real, and it started the moment she stopped clinging to what she's already outgrown. There's a moment, often quiet and unnoticed by the outside world, when a woman begins to feel a deep inner stirring. It's not anxiety. It's not boredom. It's a sacred restlessness, a feeling that something inside her is shifting, growing, stretching beyond what her current life can contain. She may not have the words for it yet, but it's there in the silence, in the stillness, in the moments when she's alone with her thoughts and can't shake the feeling that she's meant for more. Her routines start to feel too small. Her surroundings start to feel unfamiliar, even if they haven't changed. She goes about her day, but something in her spirit keeps whispering, "This isn't it." This stirring doesn't always come with answers. In fact, it often comes with questions, big ones. the kind that interrupts sleep and echo through the day. She might try to ignore it, to convince herself that she's just being ungrateful or impatient. But the more she tries to suppress it, the louder it gets. That's how God moves when he's ready to elevate her. He plants a divine discontent not to torment, but to awaken. It's his way of nudging her out of comfort and into calling. This restlessness is holy. It's a signal that the old chapter is closing. It's the spiritual itch that won't be scratched by the things that used to bring satisfaction. She begins to crave purpose over popularity, depth over distraction, real over routine. It's not that her life is broken, it's that it's being rebuilt. And deep in that restlessness is the voice of God saying, I'm preparing you. Stay with me. The stirring isn't a sign of instability. It's the sound of transformation in motion. Something bigger is coming, and her spirit knows it before her mind catches up. There are times in life when everything seems to be falling apart. Relationships unravel, opportunities vanish, plans fail without warning. And yet, in the middle of that storm, she feels something she can't quite explain. A calm, a stillness, a peace that doesn't make sense. It's not denial, and it's not weakness. It's divine. It's the kind of peace that doesn't rely on circumstances behaving. It doesn't need things to make sense. It just is. It shows up when the world says she should be panicking, when everyone around her is asking, how are you staying so calm? And all she can say is, I don't know. I just am. That peace is not of this world, it's a sign. A signal that God is doing something beneath the surface. While the chaos rages around her, he's anchoring her soul. While people are walking away, while plans are crumbling, while everything she thought was secure is being shaken, she's not, because something greater is holding her. That peace is God whispering, I'm here, I've got you. She might not have answers, she might not know the outcome, but somehow she knows she's not alone, and that knowing becomes her foundation. It's in the way she breathes when everything's loud. It's in the way she carries herself when her heart is heavy. That peace becomes her strength. Not because she's in control, but because she's surrendered control. She's let go of the need to fix everything and has placed it in hands much bigger than hers. That's when the peace floods in, not after the storm, but in it. And in that moment, she realizes the chaos doesn't define her. No, the peace does. It's proof that God is shifting her life not by removing the storm, but by teaching her how to stand in the middle of it without being shaken. There's a certain kind of heartbreak that comes when doors close without warning. She thought that job was the one. She believed that relationship had a future. She poured herself into a plan, a dream, a path, only to watch it slip away, shut tight with no explanation. It feels like failure. It feels like rejection. But what it really is divine intervention. Because sometimes God closes doors not to hurt her, but to protect her. Not to delay her, but to reroute her. And though she may not see it right away, that unexpected closure is the beginning of something greater. She might stand in front of that door, knocking, pleading, trying to force it open again. But what she doesn't realize in that moment is that God sees what she can't. He hears conversations she's not part of. He knows the timing she doesn't. And if he closed that door, it's because what's on the other side no longer aligns with who she's becoming. It served its purpose, taught its lesson, shaped a piece of her. And now it's time to move. That closed door is not a dead end. It's a redirection, a sacred pause. It's God saying, trust me with what you don't understand. And even in the confusion, even in the loss, there's purpose. Because one day, she'll look back and see that what felt like rejection was really protection. That missed opportunity, it made room for the right one. That relationship that ended, it created space for healing and growth. And the moment she stops mourning the door that closed, she'll notice another one quietly opening. One she never would have noticed if she hadn't been forced to stop. And in that shift, in that holy disruption, she begins to understand. God never shuts a door without already having another one prepared. It often happens when she least expects it. She's been waiting, praying, doing the inner work, walking through dry seasons where nothing seemed to move. And then, all of a sudden, doors swing open. An email shows up. A conversation leads to a breakthrough. A connection appears out of nowhere. It doesn't make sense, not logically. It's not the result of her striving or chasing. These new opportunities just find her. They align with her purpose. They match her growth. And deep down, she knows this is not luck. This is divine timing. What once felt stuck begins to flow. What once seemed far off is suddenly within reach. And it's not because she forced it, it's because she was being prepared. God had her in a hidden season, developing her character, stretching her patience, sharpening her vision. So now, when the opportunities arrive, she's ready. Not just to receive them, but to steward them well. These moments are proof that nothing is wasted. Every delay, every no, every unanswered prayer was setting her up for this release. She starts to realize that God's timing is never random. He opens doors when the foundation is strong. When her identity is rooted, when she no longer seeks validation from the things He's giving her, but finds peace in who she is becoming. Sometimes the opportunity looks different than what she imagined. It's not always flashy or grand, but it fits. It brings peace. It stretches her faith. And even though it may come unexpectedly, her spirit recognizes. She steps into it not with fear, but with boldness, because she knows what's showing up now is not just a good thing, it's a God thing. And once heaven starts releasing, all she has to do is keep walking in obedience and watch the overflow unfold. There comes a point in a woman's spiritual journey where her discernment sharpens. It's not about judgment or pride. It's about a deep internal shift that makes it impossible for her to tolerate what she once ignored. Conversations that used to entertain her now make her spirit uneasy. Environments she once felt comfortable in suddenly feel heavy. She starts to notice things others overlooked: tones, intentions, energy. It's as if the volume of her conscience has been turned all the way up, and she can't mute it even if she tried. This heightened sensitivity isn't emotional, it's spiritual. God is fine-tuning her awareness. He's training her to see beyond the surface, to recognize what aligns with Him and what doesn't. She no longer needs a loud warning. A quiet nudge in her spirit is enough. She can feel when something's off. She senses when someone isn't genuine. She knows when her presence doesn't belong. And even if she can't explain it to others, she knows what peace feels like and what its absence means. With that sensitivity comes responsibility. She can't unsee what's been revealed. She can't unfeel the pull to walk away from what once held her. And while this shift might distance her from certain people or habits, it brings her closer to herself, closer to truth, closer to God. Her values are no longer negotiable. Her spirit refuses to settle for anything that disrupts her alignment. It's not about being perfect. It's about being aware. She's learning that obedience isn't always about big moves, about small choices made in silence, guided by that inner knowing. That knowing is God's voice shaping her, sharpening her, calling her higher. And now her peace is sacred. Her boundaries are holy. And her yes and no carry weight because they're rooted in divine clarity. There comes a moment when fear no longer has the final say. She wakes up and something inside her feels different, not louder, but stronger. It's not that the fear is gone, it's just not in control anymore. A quiet, unshakable courage starts to rise within her. She starts saying things she once held back. She stands up in rooms where she used to shrink. She takes the risk, makes the call, sets the boundary, and she doesn't need a crowd to back her up. That boldness isn't coming from ego, it's coming from a deep, divine place. This surge of courage doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes it's in the way she finally walks away from what's been draining her. Sometimes it's in the way she applies for something she once felt unqualified for. Sometimes it's in the way she finally says, "I deserve better." And even though her hands might tremble, her voice doesn't. That's how she knows it's God. Because this kind of boldness doesn't come from her strength, it comes from His. She starts realizing that courage isn't about not being afraid. It's about trusting the voice that says, "Oh, go anyway." She starts taking steps without seeing the whole staircase. And the more she moves, the more she sees how equipped she really is. She stops waiting for permission and starts walking in purpose. Her faith becomes louder than her fear, and her obedience becomes more important than her comfort. This shift doesn't make her reckless, it makes her relentless. She's no longer living for approval. She's no longer held hostage by a what if. She's walking in alignment, and with that comes a confidence that's unshakable. It's not about being fearless, it's about being fueled by purpose, fueled by vision, fueled by the quiet fire that says, "You were made for more, so act like it." There comes a time when the noise of the world fades and her spirit becomes sharply attuned to what is true and what is not. It's as if her spiritual senses have been heightened and she begins to see things for what they really are. No longer swayed by surface-level appearances, she feels a deeper understanding of people, situations, and even her own heart. Decisions that once seemed clouded now feel clear, and her intuition is no longer just a feeling, it's a knowing. She can sense when something is right and when it's not, even before the facts are fully laid out. This discernment is not about judgment. It's about understanding the deeper currents beneath the surface. She begins to recognize the subtleties in conversations, the hidden motivations, the unspoken truths, the hidden agendas. She no longer accepts things at face value. Her spirit has become a finely tuned instrument, picking up on what's real and what's just noise. No. And that clarity is not only about others, it's about her own path. She starts to recognize when she's being pulled off course, when her own thoughts are leading her astray, when a decision doesn't align with her purpose. With this clearer discernment, she's not easily fooled. She can see when things are being manipulated, when promises are empty, when actions don't align with words. It doesn't make her cynical. It makes her wise. She learns to trust that still, small voice inside her, the one that knows truth before it's spoken. She realizes that God has been preparing her heart for this, training her to recognize His voice in a world that constantly tries to drown it out. And with that clarity comes peace, because she understands she's no longer walking in uncertainty. She's walking in alignment with divine wisdom. There's something profound about a dream that reappears, or a vision that won't let her go. It's not just a fleeting thought or passing fancy. It's a divine message, a stirring in her spirit that refuses to be ignored. These recurring dreams don't feel like coincidences. They feel like whispers from God. They surface in moments of silence, often at night, and they linger even when she's awake. In them, there's clarity, purpose, or direction. Sometimes they're vivid, almost tangible, as if they've already happened. Other times, they come as fragments, symbols or moments that seem to speak to her heart in a language beyond words. These dreams and visions often challenge her. They make her question where she's headed and what she's living for. They pull her out of complacency, shaking her into awareness of something bigger. She begins to understand that they're not just idle thoughts or fantasies. They're glimpses into the path God has set for her. Perhaps they're showing her the future, revealing what's possible, or simply confirming the direction she's already moving in. And sometimes they stir deep within her fears that she isn't enough, that she's unworthy of such a future. But they also come with an unspoken invitation. Trust me, it's yours if you'll walk in faith. The recurrence of these dreams or visions isn't random. They persist because God is trying to get her attention. He's planting seeds of hope, vision, and revelation deep within her soul, and they won't let her rest because they're part of her destiny. They challenge her to take risks, to step into what feels impossible, to act when it's easier to wait. With each recurrence, they grow clearer, louder, stronger, until she can no longer ignore the call to move. There are moments when the noise of the world becomes overwhelming, and she feels an undeniable pull towards solitude. It's not loneliness. It's a deep inner calling to retreat, to disconnect from the distractions and the demands, to find a space where she can just be. In those moments, she craves quiet, stillness, and time to reflect. The people around her may not understand, but she knows that this pull is sacred. It's not about isolation, but about recalibration. It's as if her soul is telling her, you need this. You need to listen to the whispers inside you. This desire for solitude doesn't come from a place of avoidance or fear. It comes from a place of deep longing to reconnect with herself and with God. She understands that in the busyness of life, it's easy to lose touch with her true self. Her thoughts, her dreams, her intuition all get drowned out by the endless noise of daily life. So in those moments when she seeks solitude, she's not running away from anything. She's running toward clarity. She's seeking the space to hear God's voice more clearly, to listen to the quiet wisdom that has always been there but was drowned out by the distractions. This time alone doesn't just give her rest, it gives her perspective. In silence, her mind can process what the heart has been carrying. In solitude, she can reflect on her past, gain insight into her present, and realign her future. It's where she reconnects with her purpose, where she sees with greater clarity what her next steps are. And in that space of reflection, she grows, not just emotionally, but spiritually. It's where she finds the strength to step back into the world, renewed, and ready to move forward with intention. There are times when she's walking through life, feeling uncertain, unsure of her next steps, and suddenly, out of nowhere, someone appears. It's not someone she expected, nor someone she was actively seeking, but there they are, offering guidance, wisdom, and support in the most unexpected ways. These mentors or guides show up at just the right moment, often when she's feeling the most vulnerable, like an answer to a silent prayer. They don't necessarily hold titles or formal positions. Sometimes they're people she meets by chance, strangers who seem to understand her struggles without needing to be told. Other times, they're figures from her past who reappear with words that seem tailored to her journey. What's profound about these unexpected guides is that they don't always lead in the way she expects. They may not give her a clear, step-by-step path, but they provide something much more valuable: perspective. Their insights may come as stories from their own lives, shared experiences, or simple words of encouragement. They don't force direction. They guide her toward clarity, often by asking the right questions or offering wisdom she hadn't considered. And through them, she begins to see things differently. They shine light on her blind spots, challenge her assumptions, and give her the confidence to step into areas she may have hesitated to approach. These guides appear at the right time because God knows she's ready for the next phase of her journey. Sometimes they come for a season, other times for just a moment, but their impact remains. They teach her that help doesn't always come in the expected form, but in divine timing. They show her that she's never truly alone on her path, even when it feels like she is. And through their wisdom, she grows in ways she couldn't have anticipated. There are losses in life that feel unbearable, moments when the world seems to collapse under the weight of what has been taken away. She might lose a job she thought she'd have forever, a relationship she invested in deeply, or a dream that felt so close. In those moments, the pain feels all-consuming. It's easy to wonder why something so important was ripped away, and the grief can make the future seem uncertain, as if nothing will ever feel right again. But what she doesn't know in those early moments of loss is that sometimes what's taken away is only making room for something greater. In the midst of the loss, she can't see the hidden blessing. She doesn't know that the door that was shut was never meant to lead her to where she thought it would. She doesn't understand that the path she's been forced to walk now is leading her to something better, something more aligned with her purpose. What feels like a setback is often the redirection she needed. The loss in time becomes the catalyst for growth, for clarity, for a deeper understanding of what she truly values. Over time, as she heals, she starts to notice the unexpected blessings that emerge from the pain. She finds new opportunities, discovers strengths she didn't know she had, and begins to understand that what was lost wasn't lost forever. It was released to make space for something more fulfilling. The people she meets, the new directions her life takes, the lessons she learns, all of them become evidence of how the loss was part of a divine plan. She realizes that sometimes God's greatest gifts come wrapped in the form of heartache, and what she thought was taken was only ever meant to guide her to what she truly needed. There comes a moment when she feels a shift inside her heart, an overwhelming desire to serve others, to give in a way that is selfless and purposeful. It's not just about doing kind acts here and there or fulfilling obligations. It's a deeper calling that stirs her soul. It's a recognition that her life is not just for her own enjoyment, but that there is a higher purpose in using her gifts, time, and resources to uplift those around her. This desire to give isn't about needing recognition or validation. It's about the pure joy that comes from seeing someone else's life touched, even in small ways. She feels an urgency to share what she has, whether it's knowledge, compassion, time, or material resources, because she knows deep down that giving is what truly nourishes her spirit. It's as if God has awakened her to the beauty of service, showing her that her life has more meaning when she's pouring into others, the people she meets, the causes she becomes passionate about, the opportunities to help. These all feel like divine appointments. And even in the moments of sacrifice, she finds herself fulfilled. The more she gives, the more she feels connected to a purpose larger than herself. She understands that giving doesn't always have to be grand. Sometimes it's simply listening to someone in need or offering a smile to a stranger. In her heart, she knows that she's been given so much, and the natural response is to give back. It's no longer about accumulation, but about contribution. She feels called to use her life to make a difference, no matter how small, trusting that each act of service ripples outward, creating change that she may never fully see but knows is happening. It's a deep divine pull to love others as God loves her. And through this love, she finds purpose and fulfillment. There are seasons in life when everything seems to shift at once, and personal growth accelerates in ways that feel almost surreal. It's as if the time she spent seeking, reflecting, and learning suddenly culminates in rapid, visible transformation. It doesn't happen gradually. It's like an internal breakthrough, where the pieces of her life, her character, her beliefs, and her purpose all start to align in a profound way. She begins to see things clearly: who she is, where she's headed, and the power she has within her. It's no longer just about trying to grow. She feels growth happening in real time, in her thoughts, her actions, and her interactions. This accelerated growth often comes after a period of struggle, of waiting, of lessons learned through trial and error. She spent time in the quiet seasons, processing the difficult moments, and now it's as if the doors to her potential have swung wide open. She's more confident in her decisions, more aware of her strengths and weaknesses, and more determined to align with her true purpose. The things that once intimidated her no longer seem so daunting. The old insecurities she carried begin to fall away, replaced by a grounded sense of who she is and who she is. As she grows, she finds herself taking bold steps that she would have once hesitated to take. She faces challenges head-on, not because she's immune to fear, but because she's learned how to move through it. Every experience, every lesson, every success and failure feeds into her evolution. It's a time of deep internal work where she sheds old habits, mindsets, and fears and steps into a new version of herself. She recognizes that this growth isn't random. It's divinely orchestrated, leading her to the next phase of her life with strength, wisdom, and purpose. There are times in life when everything seems to be going wrong, when the challenges feel overwhelming and the weight of the world presses in. Yet, even in the midst of those moments, something remarkable happens. She is shielded. The things that should have caused her harm, the setbacks that seemed inevitable, don't have the impact they were meant to. It's as if a divine force has wrapped her in an unseen protection, keeping her safe from the dangers that lurk, even when she doesn't fully understand why. She looks back and sees the close calls, the moments when it seemed like everything was about to fall apart, only to realize that something greater was at work. Whether it's a job opportunity that fell through, a relationship that ended, or a door that didn't open, she now understands that God was protecting her from something far worse. She was shielded from paths that would have led to harm, from choices that could have altered her life in ways that weren't part of His plan. In these moments, she begins to realize that divine protection isn't always obvious. It's not always obvious, a literal rescue from danger. Sometimes it's the closed doors that kept her from walking into situations that would have hurt her, the unanswered prayers that led her to a better path, or the relationships that faded away, allowing room for the right ones to enter. She sees that even when things don't make sense in the moment, God is actively working behind the scenes, guiding her and shielding her from harm. This protection isn't just physical, it's emotional, mental, and spiritual. She's safeguarded from discouragement, from the lies that tell her she's not enough, from the setbacks that would make her lose hope. She walks forward with a quiet confidence, knowing that no harm can touch her without first passing through divine hands. There are times when people who once played a significant role in her life begin to fade away, seemingly without warning. It's not always something she desires, but it's something that happens as part of her journey. These individuals may have been friends, family, or acquaintances, and at one point, they fit into her life in a meaningful way. But as she grows, evolves, and steps into her purpose, she begins to feel a shift. The connections that once felt natural now start to feel strained, even toxic. Conversations that once flowed freely now seem forced. And while the change might be painful, it is also a sign of divine redirection. She may not fully understand why these people are being removed from her life, but as time passes, she begins to realize that their presence was holding her back in ways she couldn't see before. These people might have been anchors weighing her down with negative energy, unhealthy dynamics, or limiting beliefs. Perhaps their influence kept her stuck in old patterns, And as God moves her forward, he removes what no longer serves her growth. Sometimes the removal is subtle, an argument, a distance that grows over time, but other times it's more dramatic, with a sudden break or confrontation that leaves her confused and hurt. However, in the quiet aftermath, she begins to feel lighter. The space left by these individuals starts to fill with clarity, peace, and new opportunities. She understands that this removal is not about punishment, but about protection and purpose. God is making room for the right people, those who will uplift her, challenge her, and encourage her to become the person she's meant to be. She learns to trust that the people leaving her life were never meant to walk with her into the next. And with each departure, she grows more aligned with the path set before her. There are moments when something deep within her stirs, a feeling or instinct that she can't quite explain, but knows to be true. It's that persistent tug, that gut feeling, the quiet voice in her spirit that seems to speak louder than logic or reason, even when the world around her suggests otherwise. When everyone else says something is fine or that she should move in a certain direction, her intuition knows better. It's like a compass that never wavers, guiding her toward the right decisions, even when the path seems unclear. At times, this intuition feels like a whisper, a subtle nudge that tells her to go left instead of right, to pause when everyone else is rushing forward, or to trust a person even when their words don't quite match their actions. She might try to rationalize it, to quiet the voice with logic, but it keeps resurfacing, unshakable. It's as if her soul is speaking to her, revealing things she can't see with her eyes or understand with her mind. And though the world may not always understand or validate these feelings, she learns to trust them more deeply with time. The persistence of her intuition isn't just about avoiding mistakes. It's about guiding her toward alignment with her divine purpose. It leads her to the right opportunities, the right people, and the right moments, often just in time. It teaches her to be more present and aware, to listen to what her spirit is telling her. Over time, this gut feeling becomes a trusted ally. She begins to realize that this intuition isn't random. It's divine guidance, a gift that connects her to a higher wisdom, keeping her on track and protected as she moves through life's uncertainties. There comes a point when the surface-level understanding of faith no longer satisfies her. The routines, the traditions, the words that once seemed enough now feel hollow, and she starts to feel a deep longing for something more. It's a hunger, an unquenchable desire for a deeper connection to her spirituality, a yearning to understand the truth that lies beneath the surface of her everyday life. She's not content with simply going through the motions anymore. She wants to know God in a more intimate way, to experience faith that goes beyond Sunday services and rituals. She seeks a faith that transforms, that challenges, and that pushes her toward a higher understanding of who she is and what her purpose is in this world. This hunger drives her to dig deeper into Scripture, to seek out teachings and wisdom that go beyond what she's known. She begins to ask the hard questions, the ones she used to avoid, wanting answers that will help her grow and align her more closely with God's will. It's not a rebellion or doubt, but a deep desire to know truth on a level that transcends superficiality. She feels drawn to prayer and meditation in new ways, sensing that these practices are no longer just rituals. They are avenues for a deeper encounter with the divine. Her search for deeper faith is a journey of discovery, one that takes her to places of vulnerability, where she confronts her doubts, her fears, and her limitations. But it also brings her to places of peace, joy, and enlightenment, where she feels a profound connection to the divine. In this process, she understands that faith is not static. It's alive, it's evolving, and it's a constant invitation to grow in truth and love. At times, she begins to notice a pattern. Certain things that keep happening, seemingly by coincidence, yet they feel too deliberate to ignore. A word, a number, a symbol, or an event might repeat itself over and over in different contexts. At first, she brushes it off, chalking it up to coincidence, or her mind trying to make connections where there are none. But as the patterns continue to emerge, she can no longer deny that something deeper is at play. There's a message hidden in the repetition, a divine nudge guiding her towards something important. It could be something as simple as the same number showing up wherever she goes, or a phrase that keeps appearing in her conversations, books, and even songs she hears. It might be a situation or an opportunity that keeps resurfacing, challenging her to take notice and take action. She starts to feel a sense of urgency, as though these repeating signs are not just random occurrences, but intentional cues meant to grab her attention. Each repetition feels like a gentle reminder that she's on the right path, or perhaps that she needs to make a shift. It's as if the universe or God is speaking to her through these recurring events, offering guidance, reassurance, or even warning her about something ahead. As she reflects on these patterns, she begins to understand that they're not merely coincidences, they're markers on her journey, pointing her in a direction that's aligned with her purpose. Whether it's a repeated theme, a sign that keeps showing up, or a person she keeps encountering, these patterns act as signposts, showing her where to go next, helping her navigate life with greater clarity and insight. She learns to trust that there's something sacred in these repeated moments, knowing they are part of a larger divine plan unfolding in her life. There are moments when something deep inside her stirs, a voice or a feeling that just won't let go. It's not a fleeting thought or a passing idea. It's calling, persistent, relentless, always there. At first, she might try to push it aside, thinking it's just a desire or a dream that will fade with time. But no matter how much she tries to ignore it, it returns stronger and more insistent, almost like a pull she can't escape. It could be the desire to help others, to start a new path, to create something meaningful, or to step into a role she's never imagined for herself. This calling doesn't give her peace. Instead, it stirs up a restlessness in her, a deep inner knowing that she's meant for something more. She might try to rationalize it, telling herself that it's impractical or that she's not capable, but the calling remains. And it's impossible to shake. It's like a fire within her burning just beneath the surface, refusing to be extinguished. At times, it feels overwhelming, even frustrating, because she doesn't always know the next step or how to make it happen. But there's something within her that knows that this calling is not random. It's a divine invitation, a whisper from God, telling her that she is meant for something greater. It's not just a desire. It's a purpose that's been placed deep within her soul, and it's hers to fulfill. With time, she starts to understand that ignoring this calling is not an option. It keeps coming back, pushing her forward, urging her to step out of her comfort zone and trust that the path will be revealed as she takes each step. This calling doesn't leave her because it's part of her destiny, part of the person she is meant to become.